Hey everybody, well, welcome inside the greenhouse. So this is a little bit different thing today. I want to talk about what I'm putting in the soil. So we're going to talk about something called biochar. Like, biochar, what the hell is that? Well, biochar it's really this cool regenerative agriculture technique that's been used by the Amazonians for, hundreds to thousands of years. And what it is, they called it tierra petra, which is kind of a black earth. And what they did is they took food scraps and they burned them without the presence of oxygen in a process we call pyrolysis. So pyro meaning fire, lysis meaning split. So it's warm, hot splitting of the molecules. And what is that doing? What's the purpose of pyrolysis and why would they do this? Well, the soils in the Amazon weren't great. And so they needed something to improve their soils to be able to grow something and sustain themselves. So by doing that, they would take their food scraps, burn it in a pit, and in that pit they'd cover it so it didn't have oxygen. And that would create, instead of just turning things to ash, it would create this black carbon-based material that they could then put down into the soil. And the cool part is that stays stable in the soil, so in a sense it's a carbon capture technique that you're putting down into the soil. Really kind of cool. So that can increase the nutrient value in your soil, and what happens is when you when you heat up those food scraps, some people today use peanut shells or straw or some other random stuff, but when you heat that up, it splits, so the surface area increases significantly, allowing little nooks and crannies for microorganisms and nutrients to be held then into the soil, kind of a safe place. Almost like a coral reef, some people describe, kind of it's that backbone structure that allows nutrients and everything to be in there. In a sense, some studies will say like 1 gram of biochar equates almost to 1,000 to 3,000 square feet of surface area, and as it opens up it creates that structure. So that's where your nutrients, water, microorganisms can hide to kind of amend the soil. Now, is it a magic thing? No. What it can do though is maybe you put that in your soil and it decreases the amount of fertilizers. Fertilizer production through the Haber-Bosch process is a huge use of CO2. So by doing that, you could decrease your fertilizer, decrease your costs, decrease carbon footprint of your food production. So we're going to try that here. We're going to try to use biochar. Now, I'm not an Amazonian. I am not an expert in this at all. I'm doing kind of a lazy biochar, so let's see how that works. So what I did over the winter, these are little charcoal briquettes. This is just leftovers from making fires in the fireplace over the winter. And then I went and dumped the ash outside, and I sorted through and found all the wonderful pieces of unburnt, totally burnt wood. And so I'm using that as my biochar. Now, is this specifically going to be biochar? I don't know. But it's going to be some carbon. It's going to be something we're going to add to the soil and see what it does. Now, this was kind of lazy to make, but the problem is you don't want to put a big chunk, right? This didn't grow in an oxygen-deprived environment, so it's not true pyrolysis. But this big chunk I put in the soil, that's not going to do much of anything. So what we got to do is smash it down. We got to make it small and fine, and that's where a hammer comes in and a cinder block. So you can be old school and just take some of your beautiful looking biochar, which is just food scraps, burnt. Then you can smash it all up and make a nice dusty pile, and then you get this beautiful biochar kind of material, and then we just dump it in the soil and mix that puppy in. So that's one, and I've been doing that and sitting here with a hammer. I feel like I'm on the chain gang a little bit. Well, not chain gang, that's kind of a little inappropriate, but I'm breaking it up. It takes time. I have another method I want to try. Let's go do it. So instead of using a hammer, let's use a ninja. I'm going to use the food processor. Let's see. I have no idea what's going to happen. Probably get your permission from someone if it's their food processor. But since this is mine, and I've used it for other things today, I'm going to say this is just like a zucchini or just like some diced up nuts I'm going to put in. I mean, it's just products of burnt up plant life. So we're going to throw it in there and we're going to chop it up. If it explodes, it's not going to explode. If it damages it, it could be worse things in life. So let's just see. We're going to lock this puppy in place. This may be a way faster way to make some biochar. Ooh. Got to turn the power on first. It's smoking on the top. Oh, Poppy! Ho, ho, ho! Oh. Oh, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I think we'll chop it a little bit more. I think this is going to work. I think we're on a path of... Woo! I like that smoky thing. All right. Yeah, that's way faster. Let's finish up this biochar, and then we'll show you how to put it in the soil. Super hard. So we got it all chopped up. Now, let's check it out. Let's see what that bucket looks like. Woo, dusty. So all I'm gonna do, sprinkle this stuff all over my soil and just make a nice cloudy mess. So as that's sprinkling, I don't want to leave it on the top. I want to put it down underneath. So we're just going to rake it in. Oh yeah. Get in there, biochar. I want to see you get busy. Get me some nutrients and all the deliciousness that goes into that. So yeah, we're just mixing in this. Now, will I do this every year? Maybe. Maybe I'll keep it over the winter and collect my stuff, chop it up, and throw more in every year. If you want to make some biochar at home, I mean, some people have some videos online about doing it. You know, they'll make a big fire, throw a bunch of wood in, and then bury it, and then let it sit for a while, then come back and chop it all up. That's the stuff that's burnt. But you got to get a good fire going. So whether you want to be the lazy version or the more intense version, either way is up to you. But just a cool regenerative agricultural technique. Give it a try. Biochar.